and you're making it quite clearly. But in order to get your message out, you actually need to buy airtime, to get your message to the people. Have you started fundraising at all at this point?
We have just begun, but I'm going to tell you, we live in a very different era than we did 4 years ago or 8 years ago. The Internet has revolutionized politics in America. And while I'm not going to claim to be a Scott Brown, he is the most recent example of what can happen. He didn't have a lot of money at first.
But I don't see you getting into a truck, with all due respect. I don't see you getting into a truck and driving around the hustings of Utica and Syracuse and points in between Niagara Falls, etc. I mean, is that something that you plan to do?
The truck was nice symbolism, but what really caught people in Massachusetts was the clarity of his message.
Well, yes, and the weakness of the Democratic candidate on the other side. I mean, the Democratic candidate was Martha Coakley, and she was very weak, and no matter what they tried to do to shore her up, it didn't work, and she stumbled. Now, you have an experience as being a consultant. I expect you'll be pretty careful on the stump, but nevertheless, Chuck Schumer is not Martha Coakley, and this is not an open seat.
Yeah, but Martha Coakley did not have Chuck Schumer's record, and I'll be happy to go there if you want to, but I could point to what I think is a wrong position on the cap and tax bill that he tells people he wants passed. I think his vote for socializing health care in New York was a wrong way to vote. I have grave problems with him being part of a government that wants to rack up $10 to $13 trillion in new debt over the next decade. I have fundamental problems with the federal tax structure. New York gets less than 80 cents on the dollar for every dollar that it sends to Washington. Chuck Schumer's been there 12 years. It's not getting any better, it's getting worse. And his solution is to raise taxes even more on New Yorkers. I think New Yorkers are already taxed enough. I think tax cuts are good social policy. I don't believe he does.
Do you believe that he is actually running for re-election to serve 6 years as senator, or do you believe he has his eye on something else?
I believe this is what Chuck Schumer really wants, and this is a fundamental problem I have with him. He wants to be majority leader, and if you want to know why that $22 million is sitting there, it's all about so he can share it with fellow senators and secure the votes when Harry Reid is defeated this fall. Now, my problem with Senator Schumer is to climb the leadership ladder in the Senate. He's doing things and promulgating policies that are deleterious to people in New York and deleterious to our state's economy. That's a fundamental problem I have with him. And it's a fundamental difference between Chuck Schumer and Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He would have never allowed climbing the leadership ladder to interfere with his job of fighting for New York. Chuck Schumer is.
So, okay, you're going to be announcing on Saturday, and then what happens? Are you going to campaign around the state, and what's your first week plan?
Well, I don't own a pickup truck, but we are getting in something that has 4 wheels and turns left and turns right, and we're going to make the rounds around New York. Fundraising, we're going to be talking to as many people in the media as we possibly can. And yes, I'm going to get around and meet as many of the county chairs as we can possibly meet. I've talked to many of them this week on the phone. We're not quite through, but we've had the enthusiasm I'm getting when I'm telling people about this is tremendous. And usually the reaction is, thank God somebody's doing this.
Well, it is certain. Have you spoken to Ed Cox, the state GOP chairman?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah. And as you know, I've also spoken with
Mike Long, the conservative chairman. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you expect them to be on hand with you Saturday morning?
No, I don't. I think that he will sit back and see who else might come into this race before he makes a decision. But I have a very, very cordial relationship with Chairman Long. We've talked quite a bit the last 3 weeks, and I met with his executive committee in Albany, I believe, last week, and received a tremendous reception.
Well, we will...
it wasn't that long ago.
I'm sorry, you can finish that thought?
All right. Okay, and last week I met, I believe, for the 2nd time with Chairman Cox to brief him on the progress that we're making.
Well, we will be
all systems go.
All systems go. We will be watching that certainly with some interest and see how much support and fundraising you're able to muster. And good luck to you, Jay.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.